everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Proud Skill Worker. Today we have an opportunity to interview Jeff Robertson. We get to do today's interview live and on site in Jackson, Tennessee. Jeff, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you, Michael.
Good. So today's podcast, what we're going to do is we'll go through your story. We'll go through how you got into the trades. We'll ask some questions from some of the skilled trades and skilled workers out into the field. We'll give you an opportunity to tell people what you think is the most important part about what you do. We'll close it out, wrap it up, high five, and get out of here. You good with that?
Sounds good.
All right, sir. So first things, how did you get into the trades, Jeff?
Actually, by accident, I went into the military and I went through a tank mechanics course with in the Army. They call it no-goes, and I got a letter of recommendation from the colonel, and I took it to get a fork truck job. And the plant manager saw the letter and he started me in maintenance.
Tell me a little bit about no-goes.
That in Army testing, it's black and white. No, either go or no go. And so I just happened to, it wasn't because I was smart, it was just because I was polite. And
you got a good grade.
Yeah.
All right, so catalyst for your career, you're in the Army, you take a pass-fail test, pass it, all right? Mm-hmm. Moving on, you get into maintenance, get out of the Army. Tell us a little bit about your life story between the Army and today.
Oh, okay. Well, I've always worked as an industrial maintenance technician, and later on in my career I took some night classes and went more towards the electrical side. Did that for years, but I had an issue. I drank a lot, and it eventually, the body can't take that, and it eventually caught up to me. I ended up going into a Christian program that was a year long, and sobriety. That's all it was for sobriety. It didn't matter whether it was alcohol or drugs or whatever, but I went through that. It was in Springs Rescue Mission in Colorado Springs, the New Life program, and they gave me a second chance, and now I'm back doing the best things I've ever done in my career.
Fantastic story. I mean, I know that climbing that ladder and getting all the way up, as you said, industrial maintenance and classes and certifications and moving up, and then being humbled in that moment, going through that experience you went through there in Colorado, and then coming out of it the way that you are right now, Jeff. I mean, tell us a little bit about where you are since that program, since that moment.
All right. Well, I was having trouble getting hired because before my alcoholism, I had a great work history everywhere I went. But due to tardy and missing, I went through a lot of jobs in the last 5 years before Skillwork. And Skillwork, I told them my story. They gave me a chance. They gave me all the tools necessary to succeed. I mean, my recruiter is asking me all the time, is there anything I can help you with? And it's nice to have that support, because it's very humbling telling my story, telling the world that you had a bad issue. And it's nice that you have Christian organizations like Skillwork that care. They're more than willing to give second chance.
Yeah, I know that for us at Skillwork, it's been a blessing to have you. Almost 2.5 years you've been with us. You coming onto here and telling your story and speaking into what you've truly been through in life. I think it's important for us as individuals, for us as men, and for us as employees and employers to be real with each other and go, hey, this is where we are in life. This is who we are, and let's move forward together. And you said it, redemption and a comeback story. Everybody does love a comeback story, and this is Jeff's. This is going to be a good one. It's already on that path, and I mean, you've said it yourself. You're moving up, and you're having a great time doing it. So I appreciate you telling us your story and definitely coming out here and telling that to everybody who listens and is a part of this. It's huge for me to hear that. It's huge for people to hear that. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that for us today.
You're most certainly welcome. Skillwork has done so much for me. I'm glad to do any way I can help Skillwork.
It's definitely a blessing. I think as we transition, I want to talk a little bit about what do you feel like is the greatest challenge in the industry today? What's the biggest challenge you're facing in the industry today?
Just technology. It's evolving so quick that you have to pretty much take a refresher course or something if you're not actually working with it to keep up. It's evolving so quick, just like computers and cell phones, and same way with PLCs and drives and all sorts of different engineering inventions,
Yeah, we talk a lot about this fourth industrial revolution or this automation revolution that's coming, and you hit it on the head right there. it's not slowing down for the people in the field. They need to either get on board or get off, because it's a train and it's coming through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. So as we transition into the next part, Jeff, I have some questions here from some of our actual skilled workers in the field.
Okay.
They've reached out to us, asked us questions. I'm going to shoot those to you and open the floor, and you and I will just talk through what those look like, okay?
All right.
So our first question comes from Dwayne F. He says, what's a cost-effective way to advance what you already know to become better?
One good thing about working in an industrial environment, you usually have access, the maintenance guys usually have access to calling machine-specific technicians. And that's a great resource to further your skills, because you can see, they can share with you how their company is putting something together. Again, that's not exactly the words I'm thinking of, but
I think what I hear you saying is when you reach out to those subject matter experts or those gurus on that equipment, continue to kind of pick their brain and learn from them and read into the publications they're putting together and their standard operating and maintenance procedures that they have. When you have those subject matter experts available to you, do you feel like they're willing to teach you, willing to pour that knowledge back into you?
Oh, yes.
And typically at no cost to you, because it's a part of that maintenance team.
Another thing I was going to point out, there's no cost. I mean, the company, they've already got some kind of contract with the machine, so free advice.
In your opinion, do you feel like people are willing to ask extra questions, or are people more focused on today's problem and not looking to the future? When you call that subject matter expert and you're like, hey, we have a machine down, are you asking one question and then getting off the phone and once you have that answer? Or do you think people should be getting more and more questions about why did it break? How do we fix it next time? What's the best way? Are they willing to give you guys that information if you ask them?
Yes. I think if you probe at least the technicians I've worked with have been very forthcoming. As long as you ask them, what could have caused this, they usually have a good insight. But back to the question, do I usually just call and get one? Yeah, because we're wanting to get it up and going. Then I'll go back and, if I have a question about what caused it or something. But that is a great source of information.
Yeah, needs of today sometimes outweigh the knowledge gain you're looking for.
Right.
I understand that.
Right, your boss.
So kind of our next question here is how do I advance when I have all the skills from experience but no schooling to go along with it? And that's from Robert H.
Just how do you advance when you have all the skills? I didn't have all the skill or all the schooling. I don't know. I think in today's job market, OJT counts more than schooling.
I agree. I agree with that.
That's my personal take on it.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have that little letter or certificate, but of what I've seen, as long as you can pass a test or that they give you, I've never had to have any schooling.
That's great. We talk about, and for Robert's sake, the individual who asked this, when he talks about advancing, do you think a lot of this comes down to individuals asking for that? Like, do you feel like on the maintenance floor, on the maintenance teams, you have the ability to go to a maintenance manager to go, hey, I want to take on bigger and better challenges. I want to do something better. Are people willing and open to give you those opportunities if you ask for it?
Oh, yeah. You just have to be very careful and make sure whenever you ask for that you deliver. Or the next time you ask, you may not get the response you like, But every maintenance manager I've ever had is all behind you, learning all you can learn.
Talk to me more about how you know when it's the right time to ask. As you just said, you got to be careful when you ask that question to make sure you deliver. How do you know when it's time for you to grow into more machines and to grow into that knowledge base?
Well, you got to have that confidence. I mean, if you're not confident going into a job, that tells me that you don't know all the ins and outs of that job. I wouldn't have a whole lot of confidence if I didn't know exactly how everything was that I was fixing to dig into was working,
Think that takes more time or more research? I mean, how do you think that's best acquired, that knowledge and that confidence?
Experience. Unfortunately, research is great, but I've found that looking at a manual sometimes doesn't always correspond. Your manual may not always correspond pictures and to what you actually have. Mm-hmm. And I found that the best thing is just to dig into it, see.
Yeah, that ties back to what you said. Like OJT in today's world is the number one. It is the hot commodity right now. because, as you mentioned, sometimes the diagram doesn't match. Sometimes the engineer drew it in a perfect way, but practically it doesn't get built that way and it doesn't work that way. So
Right.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it earlier. OJT is the thing. The way to advance your career and to advance what you're doing is just to stay on on the job, to continue to learn and grow new things, ask for new opportunities, and reach out. When you have those times where, hey, let me shadow you when you do these things. Let me watch you do that if you have time to watch other people do stuff.
Yeah.
Our next question, Jeff, comes from Dan J. He said, what's the secret to becoming a good, well-rounded technician?
Listen. There is, and not just the engineers and all that, but you can learn something from everybody. Learning to listen and not count somebody out immediately. I think it takes some people skills also, because not one person knows the whole plant. I've been in this business my entire career. I've never found one person who knew the whole plant. You have to pretty much network and find the guys that you feel can help you.
Right.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you think in your life you've learned through that listening skill? What is one thing that you were taught in a moment where you least expected to learn something just by listening?
I was working for Rural Electric, and I don't even remember what we was doing, but first year apprentice showed me how to drill something a whole lot better than I'd been struggling with for my entire career. And he comes up and just does it this simple way, and he'd learned it from his dad of all, and little things like that. Like I say, I feel you can learn something from anybody.
Yeah.
More so some than others. Don't count people out whenever you're dealing with a problem, because it may be a person that you don't even think has a clue what's going on that gives you the answer.
Yeah, I think it's a soft skill that people tend to not have anymore. We use our one mouth way more than our two ears lately.
Boy, I reckon.
Our last question comes from Richard M., and he says, what does the future hold for mechanics? Just pure mechanics. He wants to know.
Future looks good. There's always going to be mechanical, unless they come up with some kind of magic. There's always going to be mechanics and pneumatics and hydraulics and electrical involved in moving inert machinery.
So unless magicians get into the maintenance world, we're going to be fine.
Right. We're good to go.
Happy to hear that. So, Jeff, this is the part where I open the floor to you. I like to give you 5, 10, however long. And I just want you to tell everybody in the world, everybody in the industry, something you wish you would have known in your life, something that you could stand up on a pedestal if you had an opportunity, which we're giving to you, and just go, here's the thing that you need to do to be better at your job, to have a better life, to live better in the maintenance world. So if you were in front of every junior maintenance technician in the United States, what's the one message you would give them?
Listen. Sometimes it's best, I know it's hard, but even I listen, because sometimes that's exactly persevere, listen. I think perseverance is a great attribute for a mechanic, electrician, whatever, somebody that stays after it, because it's not going to get fixed if you go, well, I just can't do it. So my advice would be to just give it your all and throw yourself into your work, and things get a lot easier. You don't always have to throw yourself into your job. Once you gain experience, you go, oh, well, I don't need to do that, and there's other ways, and you just learn easier ways. Through repetition, you learn easier ways of doing things.
Right. Listen, persevere, succeed. Seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. So recently you had an opportunity to go on a trip with Skillwork down to Texas. Tell us a little bit about that trip, about what you did, kind of just all in all, how was that?
It was awesome. I was able to go down and hunt turkeys and hogs with the COO of Skillwork, and he was just as down to earth and felt like the guy next door, and had a great time. Texas Boys Outdoors hosted us. They went all out between the food and the hunting and the guiding and the processing our quarry. They did great.
So they processed everything you shot for you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's sitting in my on my front doorstep right now. Wait, it's been shipped UPS. It's cold.
Sit right now?
Yeah.
All right, I got to get out of here. No. So while you were down in Texas, tell us a little bit about the ranch or the cabins. I mean, what was that like? I mean, down there.
It was kind of eye-opening because it was within eyesight of the border. This ranch, I think it was 12,500 acres, and they had all kinds of game cam pictures of the people, unfortunately, that are crossing. It was a great time. Like I say, Texas Boys Outdoors went all out. They guided. They did everything. All we had to do is show up, and it was a great time.
So pretend it's just you and me.
Okay.
How many times did Tim miss?
I think just once.
Just one?
He had. There was a turkey way out there, and it was fighting another turkey, and he shot and missed. And then he shot, the second shot, he cleanly hit it right in the neck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very good shot.
That's great.
Yeah.
Trip was good, though? You had a great time?
Oh, I had a good time.
Good. Super happy.
It's good to know, like I say, I got to meet Tim, and it's good to know that our leadership is on the right track, I believe.
Right. They definitely care about you. Definitely not a number. I can tell you that being in the office. I can tell you that being right here next to you. This is real for us. It's something that we do, and it's something that we don't just say. It's an action for us. So it's how we live our day-to-day lives.
Y'all are proving it to me.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate everything. I appreciate everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to The Proud Skill Worker. Continue to watch us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere that you get your podcast. Put out new episodes every 2 weeks. Leave comments, reach out to us, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Love to have you on the show. Thank you so much, everybody.